All right, so you know how everyone's been buzzing about this whole Matt Gaetz thing?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's been hard to miss.
It's a real doozy.
Mhm.
And today, we're going to dive deep, really get into the nitty-gritty of these allegations against him.
Sounds intriguing. I'm all ears.
We've got a couple of pretty different sources here, actually.
Yeah.
We've got this super formal report from the House Ethics Committee, all official and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other hand, we've got this, well, let's just say very strongly worded opinion. Like one sentence, but whoa, it packs a punch.
Yeah, those can be just as impactful sometimes, can't they?
Totally. And it really makes you think about how, different viewpoints, shape how we see things, like what actually went down.
Absolutely. It's like a puzzle with pieces from completely different pictures.
Exactly. So let's start with that House Ethics Committee report.
Sure. So break it down.
It kind of throws some pretty heavy stuff out there,
Yeah.
Like they're saying Gaetz was paying women for sex,
Mm-hmm.
including, and this is really serious, including a minor.
Yeah, that definitely ups the ante.
And then on top of that, they say he was accepting gifts that weren't exactly proper.
Oh, I see. So ethically questionable gifts.
Yeah, yeah. And what I found kind of weird, or at least interesting, is that the committee, they released the report after Gaetz resigned from Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, if someone resigns, they kind of just drop the whole investigation.
Right. It's like the case is closed.
So the fact that they put it out there anyway, well, it makes you think, right? They must have felt like this was some serious stuff.
It does seem like they felt it was important enough to become part of the public record.
Yeah, they just had to let everyone know.
Or they had to make a statement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, Gaetz tries to stop them from releasing it,
Yeah.
saying it wasn't fair, that it wasn't true.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, you gotta wonder, right? What's he trying to keep under wraps?
Well, legally speaking, it's actually pretty common to try and block information from being made public in these high-profile cases.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sometimes it's just a way to buy some time. Sometimes it's a way to kind of control how the story is told,
Right, right.
But it's important to remember that everyone, even Matt Gaetz, has the right to a legal defense.
For sure.
So him doing that doesn't automatically mean he's guilty. But it definitely adds to the whole intrigue.
It's like another layer of this whole...
Exactly.
Yeah.
We also got to consider, right, that the Justice Department, they were looking into him too, like a separate investigation.
Uh-huh.
But they didn't end up actually charging him with anything.
That's right.
Which is where things get, tricky.
I see what you mean.
Because it's not just about whether something is, illegal. It's also about whether it's ethical.
Right, two different standards.
Yeah. And the DOJ, they probably need a whole lot more evidence to say, okay, this is sex trafficking compared to, what the House Committee uses for their ethical standards.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The bar is much higher for a criminal case. So it's totally possible that the DOJ, they maybe thought something shady was going on, but they just didn't have that smoking gun to actually bring charges.
That must be incredibly frustrating, especially for anyone who may have been a victim.
No kidding. So Gaetz, he's still denying everything, but he does admit, he's always been a work hard, play hard kind of guy. Maybe he partied a bit too hard sometimes, maybe had one too many drinks, that kind of thing. But then we get to this other source we mentioned.
Oh, yeah, the opinion piece.
And it's basically saying, flat out, that Gaetz couldn't get a date even if his life depended on it.
Wow, that's harsh.
Right, and it makes you think, does this actually lend some weight to the accusations?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Because it kind of implies a pattern of behavior, right?
It definitely paints a certain picture. But is it a fair one?
Yeah. Or is it just someone trying to, take a jab at him, discredit him?
It really makes you think about how much weight we should give to personal opinions, especially when they're so strongly worded.
Especially when it's so different from the tone of that official report, right?
Exactly.
So here we are, we've got formal accusations, attempts to hide the truth, and that age-old question, guilty or not guilty.
So much to unpack.
What do you think? What's the big takeaway from all this?
Well, I think this case really highlights how complicated things get when you're dealing with power, reputation, and the legal system.
Yeah.
And it shows how easily public opinion can be swayed, even by personal opinions that might not be based on facts.
Totally. So to leave everyone with something to ponder, if you were on that jury, right, what would matter more to you? That super detailed report from the House or that super harsh personal comment?
That's a tough one.
it really makes you think about how we figure out what's true these days with so much information flying around.
It's more important than ever to be critical thinkers and evaluate all the pieces of the puzzle.
I've said it better myself.